Hey everyone, thanks for tuning back into my YouTube channel. It's been quite cold the last couple of days and we've had some rain, a decent amount of rain where the lakes where I live here in East Texas, kind of northeast Texas, the water levels are starting to creep up. Of course, it's decreasing the water temperature because it's cold rain, but also because we have a lot of overcast and wind and different things that's accompanied with these storms. But it's a time of year that I really like to try to get out there. Because it truly is kind of that transition time of year. When I think about a transition time of year, I feel like we are pulling out of the winter here in this part of the country, here in northeast Texas. We're pulling out of the winter and we're starting to creep into the pre-spawn. So it's a transition time of year. Water temperatures, I'm gonna guess high 40s or low 50s. I have been out on these local area lakes recently, especially before these storms came in. So there's a lot of change going on there. Some are shallower and dirtier, others are a little clearer and deeper. So those water temperatures are gonna vary, but cold water period of the year moving towards the early pre-spawn. And it's a fun time of year to get out there for me because generally you're not going to get a lot of bites. This is the time of year that when the handful of bites that you do get are big ones. It's a great time to be out there. And in thinking with that, there's 3 lures that for me over the years have put majority of the bigger fish in the boat for me. Starting out number 1, I love to throw a spinnerbait in the late winter, early pre-spawn period. With the rain that we've had, I'm sure there's watercolor in some areas. I don't generally want to go looking for that really dirty water. Maybe a slight bit of stain is okay. But if I'm fishing in and around, say, grass or areas with some decent stain to the water, but it's not just really cold and dirty, the spinnerbait's really effective. When it comes to catching fish in colder, more stained water, I'm not sure there's a better lure than a spinnerbait. I would definitely carry 3 different sizes, probably a 3/8, a half, and a 3/4. These would probably be the 3 colors that I would try to, depending upon the watercolor, dirtier with like a fire tiger or chartreuse, solid chartreuse, with a more stained chartreuse and white, and on the clearer end, more of a white color. A nice number 5 or number 6 willow leaf in your, say, your more stained to clear waters, and then in your dirtier waters or more stained leading towards more color, your Indiana and your Colorado. These 2 are going to put out more vibration, but they're also going to produce more lift in the spinnerbait, where your willow leaf puts out a little less vibration and actually allows the bait to descend. You want to keep that in mind when you're selecting a spinnerbait. The willow is going to have a tendency to want to fall. The Colorado is going to have a tendency to want to pull or lift the bait in the water column, but also it's going to produce more vibration. And the Indiana's kind of an in-between the willow and the Colorado. That's my number 1 bait for this time of year. It's a great way to catch them, like slow rolling them, edge of creek channels, more of your vertical banks, you know, where channel swing bank is, places of grass, wood, around boat docks. But slow rolling a spinnerbait can be really good. If it's overcast, they might eat it a little higher in the water column, but nice and slow, getting that vibration going. Then also want to put on a trailer. I think that a trailer can slow the bait some more, but also give it a little bit more bulk and a little more visual appeal. This is a Strike King Swimmin Caffeine Shad, and they make 2 different sizes. This is, I believe, a 5-inch, and then they also make a 4-inch. If I use the 5-inch, it's generally because I want to put the boot tail. It's got a lot more, just a little, more vibration to it. If I'm using the 4.5-inch, just something that's just maybe a little bit less, more in the clear water, I want more subtle. In the dirtier water, I want more thump. The next bait you gotta have this time of year, late winter, early pre-spawn, you've gotta have red eye shads. you got to have lipless rattling baits. And this is time of year when you can bust a big bag on these guys. Generally, these baits are pigeonholed to just be thrown around grass. Not necessarily so. Though your red or your craw patterns work well in grass. I also like a gold blackback, works really well. And Strike King makes two different types. The regular rattling red eye shad lipless crankbait, but they also make a tungsten 2-tap, and that one's more of a knocking style. Fishing these baits in and around grass, around rock, causeways, areas where there's more bait fish. You've noticed more bait fish presence on your electronics can be really good. The other bait that I really like to throw is a jig. I love throwing a jig this time of year just because, again, I don't get a lot of bites, but I get a lot of good quality fish on a jig. And I generally like a chunk style trailer. Now I've caught them on, you know, rage craws and swimming style trailers and different things, but I like a chunk style trailer because I feel like it kind of imitates, you know, everything's cold-blooded in the water, and it kind of imitates just that slow-moving, more methodical feel that the bait and bait fish and actually the predators are going to exhibit this time of year when the water's cold. And I like that bigger, bulkier presence. It definitely has a nice big silhouette, but again, it doesn't have a lot of the hard thumping action in a trailer that you would want for more of your warmer water periods. The jig I'm going to fish in and around, just in my part of the country, hard cover targets, rock, docks with big pilings and brush piles underneath them, channels as they meander through the back of a creek, you know, or even in the mid to the front section of the creek. If there's a channel swing bank, you can fish the jig in and around on the edge of a creek channel. And as it comes off that edge of the creek channel and is falling, that vertical descent, this bait gets some really big fish to bite. Around big root wads, stumps on a creek channel, places like that, hard targets are hard cover, rocks, docks, wood, stumps, those types of things. The jig works really well. I know this is my top three, but I'm going to throw in an honorable mention. The top three are baits that I've thrown this time of year for a lot of years and have caught me a lot of fish. And while this bait's not new, it definitely has pushed its way into the top three. And at some point I'm going to have to choose. Something's going to have to be bumped out to officially be part of the top three. But for right now, that top three is still my go-to, but a bait that has really muscled its way in. And when I mean muscled its way in, it has made itself known in the bass world. And that's a thunder cricket or bladed style jig, just like this one here. A green pumpkin or black and blue can work really well. And I like to have a trailer on this thing. Either a Swimmin Caffeine Shad like I showed you for the spinnerbait, or more of a slender bodied bait, kind of like this Strike King blade minnow. You want to get this thing as straight as possible. I like to try to kind of maybe take off the first 1/4, 3/8 inch off there, and then just get this guy straight as possible on the hook. And that goes for all trailers, you know, whether it's a spinnerbait or bladed jig, as straight as you possibly can get that thing on there. See how straight I like that? That's really critical, keeping it straight, not only on this plane, but on this plane, just to try to get it is, there we go. It was a little crooked. But now that I've got it on there right. So vertically and horizontally, the bladed jig works really well. I think the thing that's really impressive about the bladed jig, it has the ability to draw fish to it. It's that chattering style head, the blade hitting the head, and that vibration that as it's coming through the water. This bait, you know, has the vibration of a crankbait, but it has the action of a swim bait because that tail is just shimmying back and forth as you're reeling it back. And very effective because you can let it you can let it sink and fall to the bottom, and you can kind of yo-yo it or rip it back, or and then let it fall again, and let it fall again. And it'll fall vertically as well. So so you're just kind of, and you're kicking that, you can kind of jump start that blade and just, and then let it fall, and then let it fall. So that's another way that you also can fish the red eye shad I failed to mention earlier. You can throw it out, cast and retrieve, but you can also kill it and it'll shimmy on the fall because of the way this guy is weighted. So as far as jig colors, I pretty much keep it simple. I like the black and blue and the green pumpkin. That's pretty much it. Especially this time of year, I like those darker colors. Seems to work really well. The bladed jig, black and blue, green pumpkin, very similar. Sometimes chartreuse and white or solid white if I feel like the fish are feeding on bait fish. But that's pretty much it. Spinnerbait's such a great big fish catcher. It's a great way to catch them, slow roll on the bottom, running it into cover, root wads, stumps, rock stalks, those types of things. And then the red eye shad, obviously, is a great search bait to try to find areas where the fish are located, because it seems like in the wintertime, a lot of the fish are not everywhere. They're grouped up in certain sections. Spinnerbaits, red eye shad, jig, with an honorable mention of the striking thunder cricket with a blade minnow trailer. That's my top 3+1 bait picks for this late winter into early pre-spawn period. I hope this helps you guys narrow down your selection next time you're headed to the lake, and that it can catch you some of the biggest fish. Hopefully one of these baits will catch you some of the biggest fish of the year during this period, and that this is helpful information. I hope this helps. I hope this puts some big fish in your boat. I'd love to hear from you guys, so go ahead and drop a comment. Please give me a thumbs up if you find this information useful. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Until next time, thank you for watching, and good fishing.